Hey everyone, OmnicientWolf here. I decided to go ahead and make a quick XDefiant video on some of the attachments I use the most and why I use them. So here we go. I'm not going to go through all my classes. I'm just going to go ahead and look at a few of them and specifically mention some of the attachments that I use for them and once again, why I use them. So starting with the MP7. We're going to go ahead and skip over muzzle. In fact, I think there's only one class that I actually use a muzzle on, and that is the P90, but we'll get to that. For barrel, I'm currently rocking the heavy barrel attachment on the MP7. There are a handful of weapons that benefit from the heavy barrel. They are the MP7, the Vector, the M16, and the marksman rifles. Although I don't really use it on the marksman rifles, I find it's already slow as is, so I'd rather use something else. All that being said, the heavy barrel will essentially kill in one less bullet, thus lowering the time to kill. Next, for front rail, you'll almost see me using exclusively the small vert. Honestly, it's one of the best attachments in my opinion. It's got increased ADS walking speed, increased ADS speed, and yes, the negatives are the accuracy when you're hip firing is lower, but let's be honest, in XDefiant, it's not often that you are hip firing. So that penalty, I'll take it any day of the week. Another option for front rail is rocking the leather wrapped foregrip, which does give you a better ADS walking speed and ADS stability, but you do suffer when it comes to ADS speed, which, you know, depending on how comfortable you are with your other attachments and whatnot, can definitely affect your ADS speed as well as your sprint to shoot time, which is not that important, but there are some decreases there. Whereas small vert, I would say, is the better option simply because you still get some of that ADS walking speed and in bumping ADS speeds, or increasing the ADS speed, I should say, in terms of being able to ADS quicker. But the minimum and maximum spread accuracy hip fire, which is not too much of a big deal to have that penalty. Next for optics, I'm not really rocking an optic for the MP7 class. To be honest with you, most of the SMGs I would say have a very nice optic. Some of the ARs, on the other hand, at least personally, I do prefer slapping a red dot on it, especially since you are typically fighting in longer ranges versus an SMG. And I do find the MP7 has probably one of the cleanest optics. So no optics, although this is a perfect personal preference. And at the end of the day, I usually rock a reflex, if anything. For magazine, in most cases, I'm either rocking the quick mag or the fast mag. I do prefer the quick mag overall because you do get the +5 magazine size as well as a bump to your reload speed without any of the drawbacks that you do get in fast mag, despite the faster reload such as ADS speed and ADS flinch control. I'm really more concerned about the ADS speed in my opinion. I try not to take that penalty if I can avoid it. But there are certain circumstances where the fast mag is almost needed in my opinion. For example, the Vector, you just shred through bullets so quickly that a fast mag, slapping that on just feels right. Whereas a lot of my other weapons, especially when it comes to ARs, are just quick mag does the trick, nice little boost without having any of the negatives. So I definitely recommend quick mag or fast mag. I use people rocking the extended mag sometimes, especially when it comes to the sniper, because, you know, for example, a TAC 50, you can have 8 bullets instead of 5, which is really nice. Although you do take a penalty when it comes to reload speed and movement speed, which is huge. And then when it comes to the rear grip, I almost exclusively rock the quick draw, I would say. Honestly, it just feels like it's the best rear grip in my opinion. You get a better sprint to shoot time by 10%, which is not huge by any means. And at the end of the day, I would say that sprint to shoot time is not necessarily the most important stat because it's very rare that you're actually sprinting, stopping, and shooting. Oftentimes you're sprinting, then jumping and sliding, which doesn't count for the sprint to shoot time, essentially. Sprint to shoot really is when you're sprinting, stopping, and then shooting, which, once again, doesn't happen too often, but it's a nice little bump anyways. The big one, obviously, here is ADS speed, in my opinion, and there is a small reduction here, minus 15% of ADS stability. So ADS stability might suffer a little bit, but honestly, quick draw seems to be the way. Another alternative for the rear grip, I would say, would be the leather wrapped. A lot of people like rocking the leather wrap because it does give you that extra boost to your ADS walking speed, which is huge in this game. When it comes to the stock, for the longest time, I was actually rocking removed, to be honest with you. But there are quite a few negatives to this one when it comes to recoil control and all that jazz. You do get the +5 movement speed, and the sprint to shoot time, which I mentioned, is not too important, I would argue. That's my opinion. So I've been rocking mostly the lightweight, to be honest with you. There is a reduction to ADS speed, but the other attachments, such as the small vert and the quick draw grip, help alleviate that. And you have that ADS walking speed, which is huge, 20%, and movement speed, which is 2.5%. So not quite as much movement speed as remove stock, but it's still a nice little bump there. The P90 is actually the one weapon that I do use a muzzle on, and from what I've seen too, most people that use a muzzle are either using the muzzle booster, which does give you a 2.5% rate of fire boost, which to be honest with you, I find negligible, even when paired with the rapid fire. That's my opinion. I feel like if you're gonna rock either muzzle booster or rapid fire, definitely rock rapid fire and use the muzzle for another attachment. In this case, I pretty much use the barrel extender, which gives you more damage. Well, not necessarily more damage, but it gives you more range for your maximum damage. So 10% short range, 10% medium range, meaning that if I shoot people a little further out, they're still taking the maximum damage for that range. All of this does affect your recoil recovery, which doesn't really matter for the P90 because you're not settling. Recoil recovery is one of those stats that's not as important compared to some of the others. And I would argue, once again, sprint to shoot time is not too important because oftentimes when you do engage in a gunfight, you do initiate a slide, a jump, which is different than sprinting, stopping, and shooting. So barrel extender, pretty solid, can't complain. Good choice for muzzles, in my opinion. I don't really care for any of the others. I don't find any of the other ones all that useful, in my humble opinion. Now, in terms of barrels, we did talk about the heavy barrel already with the MP7 build that I showed off, but let's talk about the lightweight barrel. So you might think it's funny to pair lightweight with the barrel extender that I had for the P90, because the barrel extender gives you plus 10% on short range and medium range, whereas a lightweight barrel gives you minus 10 short range and medium range, which, you know, essentially creates a net of 0. So there's no increase or decrease, which is why I actually rock this on the P90, because I really do value that additional IDS speed and movement speed that you get with this essential attachment. So by rocking the barrel extender and the lightweight barrel, I just find it cancels each other out while still increasing ADS speed tremendously, as well as movement speed. A lot of people will rock rapid fire, and rapid fire barrel, very good attachment. I think if I'm not mistaken, the horizontal recoil control and vertical recoil control is bugged at the moment. I don't know if that will change in the future, but I think it actually gives you plus 20%. I've seen that. I've seen other YouTubers talk about that, to be honest with you. So it might actually be an overall benefit overall, and increasing your rate of fire never hurts in gunfights that are so low when it comes to time to kill. And then what's interesting about the P90 is that the P90 doesn't have all the attachments like the MP7 has, for example. So in fact, you'll see that I'm rocking a leather wrapped for front rail and rear grip, but let's start with front rail. As mentioned, the leather wrap foregrip does give you ADS walking speed, ADS stability, although it does reduce your ADS speed and sprint to shoot time. So those are a couple of negatives, with the ADS speed being the more crucial negative that you're getting there, but that ADS walking speed is huge. Optics, I don't really care for one. I feel like the P90 has a very good optic, but you can always rock a red dot or hollow or whatever you'd like, but you are giving up an attachment slot here. And if I had to choose to get rid of one, I probably would get rid of the rear grip in this case. In terms of magazine, I am rocking the fast mag when it comes to the P90, despite that ADS speed and ADS flinch control. Well, flinch control, once again, I don't find too important. You can, as long as you can manage your when you're taking damage. Of course, that will differ from person to person, but the ADS speed does kind of suck. But the reload speed is kind of big, in my opinion. I know the P90 has a 50 bullet magazine, which is huge, so you could potentially rock the quick mag. But I like having my reload speeds under 2 seconds if possible. And when I rock the quick mag, it doesn't do that. The fast mag, it does. As you'll see in the stats here, I have a 1.7 second reload speeds. However, if I put quick mag, I think it's something like 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, something like that. Probably 2.3. So I know it's a 0.5 seconds, but that half second can make a big difference, and I just prefer it that way. You'll also notice that my ADS speed reduction is actually, well, a little bit higher than what it would be by default, because I'm using the leather attachments, which do essentially add on to how much time it takes to ADS, but I feel like it's worth it when it comes to the P90. And then once again, the rear grip, leather wrapped, I spoke about it already with the MP7, just getting that extra ADS walking speed, and you do have reduction to sprint to shoot time, which once again, in my opinion, not too important. Now, in terms of the MP5, I'm not necessarily going to talk about the class once again, because that's not the purpose of this video, but I did want to call out that I am rocking the rapid fire for the MP5. I do find the MP5, and statistically speaking, it is one of the weaker SMGs, unfortunately, in the game, and I really do love the MP5. MP5 is a classic weapon. So attaching the rapid fire barrel in this case does give it a little more oomph, a little more power, packs a punch, And that would be my recommendation for it. And once again, if I'm not rocking rapid fire, I'm rocking either another barrel, whether it's lightweight, heavy, or really those are the three that I find myself using the most. Now my ARs look very similar to my SMGs. The only difference is that I do find myself going for a optic when it comes to my ARs. So as a result of that, I am losing one of my attachments. And in most cases, I'm actually just giving up the rear grip. So no quick draw. That being said, I don't find quick draw as important when it comes to ARs, simply for the fact that in a lot of times, yes, you will still engage in close encounters, which, you know, you're better off avoiding if you're facing someone with an SMG. But yeah, ARs, you know, typically you're battling more out in mid-range to long range. So having that increased ADS speed, although helpful, is not nearly as crucial as when you're up close and personal. So on my ACR, I am rocking the rapid fire barrel, which does give that additional rate of fire. I do feel like it needs it, to be honest with you. It just needs a little bit more speed to the rate of fire, and that's once again, that's my opinion. And in terms of all the other attachments that I do have, I'm still rocking the small vert for the front rail, the quick mag, and lightweight stock essentially for that additional movement speed and ADS walking speed. Always building around essentially movement speed and ADS walking speed. I do find those to be the top two most important, well, besides ADS speed, which maybe would be like top three, important stats for any class. I promise I'm not going to show off all my classes, but here's my M16 class. I just want to share that I am rocking the heavy barrel in order to lower the TDK in most cases. It does require one less bullet to kill, so it goes from 5 bullet kill to 4 bullets to the body anyways. So the only thing you might notice with the heavy barrel is that if you are taking on phantoms, it might actually take a little bit longer to kill them versus just using the default barrel or rapid fire barrel. So just something to keep in mind if you are dealing with phantoms and not necessarily hitting that headshot, then it might take just a smidge longer hitting those body shots and taking them down because of that extra health. In terms of snipers, I'll show off my TAC 50. At this point, I still don't have the new sniper unlocked, which I'm really curious about because although the TAC 50 does hit hard, I do prefer the M44 just because of how speedy it is. Although obviously the TAC 50 is just more reliable in taking down targets, especially phantoms. I don't have any muzzle. I essentially just use the lightweight barrel to get more movement speed and ADS speed. ADS speed on a sniper for me, quite important just because of being able to, you know, scope in quickly. And movement speed is nice. And although you do get like a reduction in short range to medium range, if you look at the advanced stats, it doesn't do anything because across the board, you're doing 90 damage plus whatever modifier it is that they have for, you know, headshot, body, leg damage. So as a result of that, doing this with the lightweight barrel does absolutely nothing because it's just 90 damage across the board all the way to 300 meters if you see down the bottom left of my screen. So as a result of that, go crazy with the lightweight barrel in my opinion. In terms of the optics, I just go ahead and use the 12 times sniper scope. I prefer that over the other ones. I do wish they would have an option to, you know, choose different reticles perhaps. But another option is using the variable zoom if you wanted to decrease the ADS speed penalty so that you have a quicker ADS time. That being said, I'm not a fan of the reticle, so yeah, and you only get up to 8 times zoom, whereas sniper scope you do get 12. Personal preference, I just prefer sticking with the default. And I am rocking the quick mag, although this is an instance where it comes down to personal preference. Do you want that faster reload speed, or do you want the extra 3 bullets in the chamber? You can go fast mag, but once again, I don't like the ADS speed penalty, and in most cases when you are sniping, the fast mag doesn't really come into effect. You're usually longer range. I mean, unless you're super aggro and constantly in their face, but I would either go with quick mag or extended mag. Now, once again, the quick draw, very important getting that ADS speed down. So the less ADS, the more ADS speed bonuses that you get, the quicker you'll be because you will be lowering that time it takes to ADS. And I just use the padded stock for this just to get that bonuses for flinch control, stability, recoil recovery. I guess you could use lightweight stock. The one reason I stay away from the lightweight stock is simply because of that penalty to the ADS speed, whereas for other builds, I don't really care too much about it, but for the sniper, I do want to try to reduce that ADS speed penalty as much as possible. So as a result of that, I'm not too worried about having quick ADS walking speed or additional 2.5% movement speed. It's all about just stability for me. And that about does it for me on this video. I thought this was going to be short and sweet, to be honest with you. I did ramble on a little bit, and I showed maybe a few more classes that I had anticipated, but I hope I gave you a good rationale as to what I consider some of the best attachments in the game and why I use them. Hopefully this helps you, and if it does, well, let me know.